Welcome to the Private Practice Elevation Podcast. Unlike other shows about marketing and growing a private practice, only the Private Practice Elevation Podcast takes you into the peaks and valleys of successful practice owners to give you the lessons they learned and the proven strategies that you can apply to your own private practice, helping you reach the next level in your business. I'm your host, Daniel Fava. Welcome to the 200th episode of the Private Practice Elevation Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel, and today we're diving into a topic that's both exciting and maybe a little bit controversial: AI in private practice. Specifically, how chatbots and AI receptionists can actually improve your client intake process without losing that personal human touch. To help us explore this, I'm joined once again by my friend Uriah Guilford, founder of Productive Therapist and the creator of Simple Intake. Uriah has been at the forefront of helping therapy practices streamline intake and grow through smart delegation, and now he's adding AI to the mix. If you've ever wondered whether tools like chatbots could really work for your practice, or worried that they'd feel too impersonal, this episode is for you. But first, let's hear a word from our sponsors. Today's episode is brought to you by Alma. Alma supports clinicians in building rewarding private practices by making it easier to connect with clients who are the right fit for their caseload and unique expertise. Plus, simplified insurance credentialing in under 45 days, enhanced reimbursement rates, and guaranteed 2-week payback. Visit helloalma.com/elevation to download your free guide to identifying and connecting with the right clients for your practice. That's helloalma.com/elevation to get your guide. Group practice owners, are you tired of constantly hustling to fill every single therapist's schedule? In today's competitive environment, those empty spots hurt your revenue and create unnecessary stress for you. RevKey specializes in Google Ads management for therapists, expertly connecting you with your ideal clients. They focus on getting quality referrals that keep your team busy and your practice growing. Visit revkey.com/podcasts for a free Google Ads consultation. That's revkey.com/podcasts. Well, hey there, and thanks for tuning in. Super exciting. Today is the release of our 200th episode of the Private Practice Elevation Podcast. I cannot believe that we are at 200 episodes. That's just crazy. And just kind of thinking back, just like reflecting on these last few years of the podcast, it's just wild. I don't even want to go back and listen to those first couple of episodes because I'm sure I was so awkward and it just didn't sound very professional at all. And, I just really learned to kind of relax over the years. And I feel like I've kind of gotten into the flow of how do you do a podcast, how do you ask questions, be a better interviewer, be a better teacher, during those solo episodes. So yeah, I feel like I've grown a lot, and this podcast has just been so amazing for me to just be able to meet some amazing people and have some great folks on to share their knowledge, but also just become friends. And, that's really what Uriah has become to me. Uriah is a great friend of mine and colleague, and him and I, we connected pretty early on in the podcast. He was one of our earlier guests, and just really connected with him with just his personality, his creativity, his joy, and his fun way of being. He's just a fun guy. And then a few years ago, I guess it was about 4 years ago, we got to meet in person at a conference through Whitney Owens and her Wise Practice Summits. And so that's just something I look forward to every year, is reconnecting with Uriah. We've created this tradition now where when we're together at those conferences, I usually bring a bottle of bourbon, and at some point, at some evening, after dinner's been had and we're just kind of hanging out at the hotel, we'll sit around with a group of some other guys who have also become great friends, and just chat about life, chat about business, and just enjoy a drink together. And so that's been a lot of fun. Uriah and I, we stay connected. We text each other every once in a while, and we're also in a mastermind group together. So it's been fun to stay connected with him, not just at those live events, but throughout the year. And he's just become a great support for me. And I always appreciate just how he is always on the forefront of new technology. He's always trying out new things and seeing, how can this help my business? How can this also help serve the people I serve? And so that that is what Uriah is doing now with AI and chatbots. And so that's what we're going to get into is how can AI chatbots streamline your therapy practice intake? And how can you do that without losing the human touch? Because I think that that's kind of the fear or just the thing that we kind of get hung up on is like, how can we reach more people, but how can we also do that in a way that shows that we care, that really serves people and that has that human touch, because we're all trying to create great businesses, great private practices that really serve people at the end of the day. So it's a great conversation, and Uriah helps to kind of unpack a lot of these things. And these are things that he's using in his own private practice. So he's really learning firsthand with these examples. And so here's my conversation with Uriah. Well, welcome back to the Private Practice Elevation Podcast. Uriah, how you doing?
Daniel, hey, good to see
You're,
you.
you're back.
I'm back.
You're back. We can't keep you away. I don't know if this was a third time. I think it's like the third time you've been on,
I think it is.
something
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
that.
we've been swapping podcasts for a little while here.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm super excited to have you on and talking about AI and AI receptionists, using them as an extension of your website, some things that you are uh, meddling with, building with, testing. And so I'm excited just
Always.
to kind of pick your brain. And yeah, you're always like on like the newest things that are going on. Like, how can we use this for business, for private practice? And so I always appreciate you doing that because I can't keep up with this stuff, but you're always like on top of it, so I can learn from you. And so, yeah, really excited to kind of dig into this stuff.
It's almost like it's my job. Yeah.
Almost, almost. Yeah. Well, before we dive into all that stuff, for folks who haven't heard the other interviews that you've been on this podcast, why don't you just share, briefly a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Definitely. Yeah. So Uriah Guilford, licensed marriage and family therapist, coming to you from Northern California, wine country area. And I have a group practice here in Santa Rosa, California. And then for the last 8 years or so, I have also been running Productive Therapist, which is a virtual assistant agency focused on all things intake and helping therapists streamline, optimize, delegate, outsource their intake process. And now we can provide you with a human intake coordinator and an AI receptionist to help your clients faster, grow your practice, and just be overall awesome.
Awesome. So this AI stuff really like it's become an extension of what you do. And so I think that that's pretty cool that you were able to or are able to, kind of jump into this realm and see like, well, how can this help not only your business but help, your end clients. So what was that
Yeah.
what was that process like? You're seeing all these new tools come online and all this AI stuff. Were you like pretty quickly like, how can we use this and dive right in?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the good thing, I suppose, is that I've been focused on, and Productive Therapist has been focused on solving essentially the same problems for about 8 years straight, and I
Yeah.
don't see that changing really.
Hmm.
And those problems really are how to get the help to the clients faster,
Yeah.
and help the practice owner streamline their operations so they can scale their practice.
Yeah.
And it's to be honest with you, it's always frustrated me from day one how hard it is to find a therapist. Number one. Okay, that's marketing, right? And how hard
Hmm.
it is to connect with a therapist and get in to see them quickly. And that's like intake, right? Sales and intake, customer service,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. From the client standpoint, it's still kind of frustrating, even though there's so many options.
Yeah.
And obviously, our culture and our society has gone more and more digital, and now AI. And so people want convenience, they want speed, and they want ease of use. And so, using some of these tools is really, in my mind, it's just helping close the gap between what I
Yeah.
call first contact and first session,
Yeah.
because that's super important. Because the first practice to respond is likely going to get the client,
Yeah.
and we're all busy, and it's
Hmm.
hard to get back to people, especially as your marketing kicks in, and especially if you have Daniel and his team build a website for you. You're going to get so many calls and so many
That's
inquiries.
the
You're going to be like,
hope.
how do we respond to all these inquiries? And
Right.
this is a solution for that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's I mean, that's interesting that you say that too, though. Like, yeah, I mean, obviously, thank you for saying that, but also like that's like a next level problem, like if you're looking to
Yeah.
scale, you can't scale very well if your intake process is pretty clunky or it takes a while, to get folks connected to the therapist and start working. I was actually just this morning, I was talking to a new client of ours kicking off their website redesign project, and we were looking at their intake process, from the website to her team, is one of those situations where she's got like, connect with us button to
Hmm.
contact us here. And then there's a button for a free consultation. And that one specifically, you clicked on the free consultation and it took us to this EHR. I forget which one it was.
Oh
It was like
yeah.
Owl or something like that. She's up in Canada. And so there was so much information on this page, including all these other, like, not only book a consultation, but it was like, book a therapy session, book this and book with this therapist and
All
that
the
therapist.
options.
And I was like, just like what you said, I was like, we need to make a lot less hurdles for someone to connect with you all to get started. So I
Right.
think, exactly what you're saying, like AI and these chat widgets and kind of these different tools we can use really cuts down that time so that people feel taken care of, primarily
Yeah.
so that they can get connected with a therapist. So
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, a contact form is great. Everybody has a
yeah,
contact form, right?
and those won't go
If you,
away.
Yeah, for sure. And if you
Yeah.
have an online scheduler on your website, I think that's still a level up so that people
Yeah.
can visit your website any time of day or night and actually book a call with your intake coordinator or you as the
Yeah.
practice owner. I think that's nice. But the idea of having an AI chat widget on your website that responds 24/7 that can also book that same call
Yep.
conversationally, I think is just a much better experience
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't we kind of like dig into a little more of like what does this look like? You said I like what you said
Yeah.
about conversationally. So it's kind of we're using these AI bots to converse with potential clients, and is it primarily focused on, answering those FAQ questions that people have before reaching out?
Yeah. So, real quick, I want to say that if you've ever had an experience with a chat widget on a website in the last 5 years, probably it was not great, right? These things
Right.
have not been amazing, and nobody lands on a website and goes like, "Ooh, a chat widget! I want to click on this."
Right.
Um, and I remember like years and years ago, I bought some tool and I was programming it, and it was a chat widget for your website. And but you had to dial in every question, every answer, like an exact
Mm,
scripted sort of experience.
yeah.
But I think it was maybe a year or two ago, I was using a software tool and they had built-in chat widget. And it was the first time like it actually answered my question, exactly my question, solved my problem so
Hmm.
fast. I was like, this is really good. So yeah, I just want to say they've gotten a
Yeah.
lot better now that they're AI powered and it
Yeah.
knows everything about your practice. It's really, really useful.
Yeah.
But yeah, to talk about the details of it, you've all seen this on a website. It's a little bubble in the usually the bottom right hand corner that has some sort of icon on it. Maybe it has a picture of somebody's face or something like that. It says, "Hi, how can we help you?" or something like that.
Hmm.
Same kind of idea. It works just like you would expect. But the upgrade is that this is connected to, so Simple Intake is our offering, right? And it's not just an AI receptionist or an AI chatbot. It's actually an AI powered intake system that can handle your entire intake process. Just want to throw that in there.
Yeah.
But so it's built on what's called a knowledge base. I was telling you this before we hit record. It's pretty cool,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
So we train this thing on your entire website
Hmm.
and we give it all the FAQs, everything about the insurances you take, your private pay fees, what kind of therapeutic modalities you use, who's your team, all this kind of stuff. And so it knows all the things that a really seasoned employee would know, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like your best employee on your website answering people's questions,
Hmm.
and people click on it, and then it collects their information, and then it walks them through, asks them all the questions. It will, like I said, conversationally respond to their questions, and it will answer any question. So I've done quite a lot of testing with this before we launched it, obviously,
Yeah.
to see if we could break it, to see if we could get it to go off the rails and be
Yeah.
inappropriate, right? And it doesn't. It's really good. So I've asked it questions like, "I think I have ADHD. Can you diagnose me?" And then
Hmm.
it applies a little bit of empathy, redirects, tries to
Yeah.
get you scheduled. I've asked inappropriate questions like, "Hey, you seem really nice. Can I date you?" And it handles it really well.
That's
All the
great.
way to crisis situations where if somebody
Hmm.
is talking
Yeah.
about or texting or typing something that's concerning, it will redirect them to call 988 or call 911, go to the emergency room. So it's a nice experience with an end goal usually of either just answering their questions, collecting their info, or booking them with an appointment and moving them forward.
Yeah. That's great. So it's that helpful voice that's really connected to really how you do what you do, because it's combing the website, getting all that information, plus, any extra FAQ or policy type stuff that you input, which the AI can maybe remember that stuff and pull from it better than even a human could. So, I
True.
mean, there's certain aspects of that, like, getting folks to the answers to their questions as quickly as possible. And,
Right.
that's kind of how I've always really presented what we do with website design is like you're trying to answer their questions as quickly as possible, like meeting them where they're at with their current challenges. And so
Hmm.
this is just seems like a new way to do it, a little more conversationally and a little more in real time, but it's still pulling, and I think this is the beauty, like still pulling from authentic information, about what you do. And so it's really kind of
Right.
like it's kind of like having a salesperson on your website, right?
It is. It's qualifying folks. It's screening them, helping them make a good decision if it's a good fit, which will cut down on time spent by you or your team on responding to people who aren't a good
Yeah.
fit. So I think that's super helpful. And it's really flexible too. So you can actually we can create an agent for the practice where the person can text the phone number and have a text conversation with the AI
Mm.
or on the website. So and we can even put it in WhatsApp and have it respond to, social media
Wow.
messages. So those are all options. And
Wow.
then there's a really cool option where I've tested this with productive therapists a bit, where a live agent is what they call it. So it's like a human, right?
Yeah.
Can
Like
like
human.
yeah, I remember one day I was logged into the platform, simple intake, and I just happened to see that somebody was on our website, productivetherapist.com, and was
Hmm.
chatting with our AI widget. And I thought, I'm available. Why don't I talk to them?
Just
So
jump in.
I click a button, turn off the AI, and I
Hmm.
said, hey, this is Uriah here. How can I help you? So I started talking to them. And then when I leave, the AI turns back on. So if that person happens to come back and keep
Yeah.
chatting. So it has those kinds of functionalities that can be really nice, especially if you want to use like one or the other or a combination of both human
Yeah.
and AI.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question is like, what's
Hmm.
the sort of handoff look like? If you have, whether that's the private practice owner or if you've got a part-time intake coordinator,
Right.
like my wife Liz, she's got somebody who works a few hours each day answering phones, but sometimes, she wanted to jump in. So it sounds like you can easily hand off like live. What about like when this is happening, late at night, everyone else is like asleep? What does sort of the follow-up process then look like? Or does that kind of
Yeah.
really depends on, I guess, where the AI sends them? Because they could either book a consultation, or
Right.
if your intake process is my coordinator, Charlotte's gonna follow up with you.
Yeah, it depends on the outcome of that chat, if you will. So if they
Hmm.
book a call, obviously the intake coordinator is going to be notified.
Hmm.
And that will be on their calendar. They'll also get an email notification. And then let's say, the intake coordinator wakes up, shows up to work, and then they pop into simple intake and there's like a conversation section so they can kind of see everything that's been coming through
Yeah.
and respond accordingly. So you can, actually text them back, email them back, communicate with them however you want to. So really kind of it's like a nice organized way to keep track of all the incoming inquiries,
Yeah.
and respond to them accordingly. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. And what are some of the uh objections you hear, to
Yes.
using this? I know AI is a big
Yeah.
question, so especially when it comes
Everybody
to,
has
yeah,
opinions and feelings about this.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what are some of the
And therapists in
objections?
particular. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and like, rightfully so, because of the nature of the work that they're doing, or the
Right.
situations and the populations they're working with. There's a
Right.
lot of factors here. So yeah, let's just talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah. So this is really interesting, and I'm happy to be super honest and transparent about this because it is brand new, and people have different mixed feelings about it. The potential clients as well as the practice owners.
Yeah.
It's funny. I heard somebody say the other day, if I called a therapy practice and an AI receptionist picked up the phone, I would hang up immediately and never go to see that therapist. I was like, oh, okay. And then I've talked to practice owners who have signed up for simple intake and then decided at some point, like, I don't think the clients in our area are ready for this. I think the first
Mm,
one was actually just in Louisville, Kentucky. And they said, I
okay.
think people in this area don't want this.
Hmm.
And so some of that honestly depends on the practice owner and their opinion and perspective on AI and integrating
Yeah.
it, whether they're sort of wanting to be cutting edge or on the front of things and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, the reality is that people who are calling your practice or chatting with your AI receptionist on your website, they're either going to like it or they're not. And you're going to find out fairly quickly if it's a
Yeah.
good experience and
Yeah.
if people are responding well. So that's good. The feedback loop is pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
But a couple of the objections are our clients won't want to talk to AI. We want to provide a more high touch, human based connection experience. And I totally get that. In my
Hmm.
mind, the AI is just there for speed of response.
Yeah.
And its main job is to help that person and connect them with a human as fast as possible. So,
Right.
genuinely, like 100% genuine, we're not trying to replace, certainly not the therapist, right? We can't.
Right.
And not even the human admin team. So, we're just trying to help them out.
Yeah.
Um, can you think of any other objections that you've heard or you think might arise?
No, I think it's mostly that. It's just like, will this, I think the main thing is like, will this replace that human
Mm-hmm.
touch
Mm-hmm.
feel? And I think that that's probably going to take a little time as sort of the general population gets used to businesses, in multiple industries using these
Right.
tools. But I think for me, I'm probably similar to you, Uriah, in that these things don't bother me. Like new technology doesn't bother me as long as it's helping me solve my problem as quickly as
Yes.
possible. If it's a fine experience, then I have no problem with that. And I kind of, because I'm in this sort of world, I know what's going on in the background. Like I know this is AI, but
Right.
like it's either like have this conversation with this bot or what, spend 30 minutes coming through the website and trying to find the answers to the questions I'm looking for. It seems to
Exactly.
me that, if it's going to help me get to my answer as quickly as possible or resolve a pain point, that sort of thing, I'm going to do that. And
Right.
I'm using that more and more, in my own life. So,
That's
but,
interesting.
but yeah, I totally get it. I get it. I get the
So
objections.
I want to talk about HIPAA and digital security and privacy, but first I want to tell you
Yeah.
about Krispy Kreme.
Okay.
So
I
the
love
other
Krispy
day,
Kreme. I had Krispy Kreme last Friday with my boys at their
so good.
school.
Why is it so good?
Donuts with
Oh,
dad.
yeah, that's fantastic. So I was out running some errands the other day, and I thought, you know what, my kids at home, my daughters would love some Krispy Kreme donuts on a Saturday. So I pop into the drive-through, drive up, and then they had I think it had changed it. The whatever the drive-up thing was a huge screen, right? And I
Yeah.
pretty quickly realized, oh, this is an AI assistant that's taking my donut order.
Oh, I
Oh
haven't
my
seen
word!
that
So
yet.
I pulled out my phone and I actually filmed it. I was like, "Are you a robot?" So I was like having this conversation because I'm fascinated by this, right?
Yeah.
And it even upsold me. It tried to upsell me on adding an additional dozen for like half price, and I was like, "No, thanks."
Wow.
So place my order, and then I drive through, and fortunately, there's a human at the window handing me my donuts, and I was like, I
Yeah.
just had to talk to him. I was like, "Hey, how are people responding to this AI assistant thing?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, actually, it's pretty mixed. Some people like it, some people don't like it." I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." And then I asked him, I was like, "So is that making your job easier?" And he said, "Actually, no." He said, "I would
Interesting.
rather just take the order." I thought that was fascinating, but I
Interesting.
think in our example with a therapy practice, it's a little bit different where responding to inquiries that are coming in throughout the day actually is the most challenging thing.
Yeah.
And so the AI receptionist is genuinely helpful versus Krispy Kreme.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Um, I'm curious to hear just a little bit more about like, real life examples and, you obviously have been testing this both with productive therapists and your own practice. So let's kind of start with your own practice. Like what kind
Yeah.
of results are you seeing? Or is it still new? How's it kind of going on that front?
Yeah, definitely. So pretty much everything that I've done at Productive Therapist, I've tested on my practice, and it's been
Hmm.
super nice to have a group practice for 10 years and be able to test things out.
Yeah.
So I'm always doing that because I genuinely like to recommend and obviously, provide services that I believe in,
Yeah.
products and services that I believe in. So
Yeah.
I do definitely use these tools for both of my businesses.
Hmm.
And so I've been using the AI receptionist in coordination with Tiffany, my intake coordinator, and it's going well. It's been seamless, honestly. So my phone
Yeah.
is currently answered, all the time by the AI receptionist, and then it's connected to the Tiffany's calendar. So that's working really nicely. And then I've actually been more focused the last couple months on the AI voice. So, the AI receptionist for the phone and
Hmm.
installing that in a bunch of different practices. And we're just starting to get into the chatbots, really. So actually last night I actually built the first one for Intune Family Counseling. So if you want to go to intunefamily.com, you can take a look at it. And so yeah, it's still early days on that. I think more people are accustomed to a chatbot on a website than AI answering the phone. So I think
Hmm.
that's actually a more familiar experience, and
Yeah.
people will be comfortable with that. Um, so that it'll be interesting to see. But like I said before, the metrics and the data and the reporting on the back end, we have all of that,
Yeah.
including for the AI receptionist that answers your phone, call sentiment. So it'll actually track up and down 0 to 100, like positive sentiment, negative sentiment, somewhere in the middle.
Interesting.
And then with the chats too, you can just go in there and you can see everything that was said and go like, oh, is this going well or is it not going well?
Yeah.
So it's like the feed, like I said, the feedback loop is really short.
Yeah, and I think that that's great with these new technologies and kind of like what we were talking about. Like,
Hmm.
is this a good fit for me and my practice as well as my audience and the
Right.
demographic I'm working with? Like all things on websites
Yeah.
and marketing, like gotta
Test
have
it.
data and you gotta test it out. And like all things, if it's not working and the data can support that, then okay, this isn't something I need to double down on or go deeper
Right.
into, but at least I know now, like if this has worked or hasn't worked for the practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And every practice has to test it for themselves and for their ideal clients and their sort of market, if you will. I
Yeah.
do want to mention about digital security and privacy, HIPAA,
Yeah.
because we're all concerned about that, especially with AI, right?
Yeah.
So all the information, all the PHI, the protected health information that's collected by the AI receptionist, whether it's voice or chat, is all pulled into Simple Intake, which is a HIPAA compliant, digitally secure platform. We have a BAA that we sign, a business associates agreement with all
Hmm.
of the practices that we work with. So obviously that we're covering our bases.
Yeah.
That doesn't protect everything all the time because anything can be accessed and hacked, unfortunately. But we take
Yeah.
all the safety precautions, and then there's disclaimers too. So when people call, it says that everybody's used to this, but this call may be recorded for
Yeah.
quality and training purposes, or whatever you want it to
Right.
say. And then on the chatbot, it has a little checkbox disclaimer. So we try to cover all those legal and ethical and obviously HIPAA compliant bases.
Yeah, that's good because people could probably say anything and everything on those
Sure.
on those robots there, on those bots. So yeah, that's good. That was going to be my next question, so thanks for
Yeah,
getting ahead of me there.
it's an important
Well,
one.
yeah, yeah. Well, are there anything else that that people need to know before maybe getting started with these sorts of
Yeah.
platforms? Maybe even like you mentioned like simple intake. Are there other ones out there that people are using? Like where should people kind of go to get started if they wanted to start messing
Yeah.
around with this stuff?
Yeah. If you're listening to this and it sounds interesting and you kind of want to be on the forefront and you want to, you know, have a little competitive advantage, I definitely recommend testing out some of these tools. Ours is not the only one out there, and you're gonna see this blowing up all over the place. Voice AI is huge right now in all kind of corners of our experience.
Yeah.
So, and it's getting better, so much better. So I think there's going to be some options out there, like the phone systems, like Ring Central just released an AI receptionist like 3 days ago, 4 days
Oh
ago.
wow. Okay.
That looks pretty cool. The unique thing about ours, like I said before, is that it's tied into an entire AI powered intake system. So
Yeah.
we're not just trying to like, because for you can find a cheap AI receptionist. I'll be honest, you can find a cheap one, but it's
Yeah.
not going to integrate into a CRM or an intake platform and
Yeah.
do automatic follow up and do all the cool stuff that we can do. So yeah, I would definitely check out simpleintake.ai, and we have demo calls on there. And then you can also go to intunefamily.com or productivetherapist.com just to test it. Honestly, I would say just test
Yeah.
the ones we've built for us and for my practice. And
Yeah.
if you're impressed and you like it, reach out to us. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll put that in the show notes for this episode, and so people can just go and yeah, get on those websites, test it out, try and break it. Uriah will appreciate it. He wants the data. He wants to know how it
Have
works.
some
And
fun with it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, awesome. Well, thanks so much for being on, Uriah. I think that Like it's such good information, and I'm excited to dig into this more because I'm sure we haven't done it yet at PPE, but I'm sure more of our clients are going to be requesting this or wanting to get into this world. So I'm glad that I have you in my back pocket that I can go to for all the answers.
Absolutely. This is fun. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Well, thank you to Uriah Guilford for being back on the podcast. It's always fun to hang out with Uriah and geek out over some of these things. And so I hope this kind of opens up just kind of a new world for you, or just at least gives you some more information about how some of these AI tools could be used in your own private practice to hopefully help you streamline some things. And maybe this could be something that you add to your intake process. You can reach folks who are reaching out to you, especially during those after hours moments where people are really looking for a private practice. They're looking for a therapist who can, really serve them. And so this can maybe cut out some steps and really get your response rate, your response time, down so that you can hopefully get more clients in your practice. So thanks so much for listening to this 200th episode of the Private Practice Elevation Podcast. Really appreciate you listening. As always, if you need help with your online presence, if you need help being found in Google or in AI searches, we are just loving this new season that we're in of SEO and discoverability, and we're making a lot of changes, and we're seeing great results with the private practices we're working with. So if you want to get into that and learn a little bit more about how you can get found more easily online with either a great website or with this SEO or AIO optimization work, go to privatepracticeelevation.com/kickoff, where you can fill out a short form, let us know a little bit about your current challenges, and schedule a free 15-minute call with myself and figure out if we're a good fit for one another. Well, thanks so much. Now go elevate your practice. I'd like to thank Alma for sponsoring this episode of the Private Practice Elevation Podcast. As a clinician, you probably chose this field because you wanted to support people in navigating challenges and finding personal growth. But many mental health care providers end up spending almost as much time on billing, insurance, and other documentation as you do in sessions with clients. That's where Alma can help. Alma supports clinicians in building rewarding private practices with simplified insurance credentialing in under 45 days, enhanced reimbursement rates, and guaranteed 2-week payback. Plus, streamlined, HIPAA-compliant EHR tools like intake forms, progress notes, and treatment planners, so you can spend less time on the administrative work and more time delivering great mental health care. Learn more about how Alma could support your private practice at helloalma.com/elevation. That's hello, ALMA.com/elevation to learn more. Are you a group practice owner feeling overwhelmed by marketing? You didn't start your practice to spend hours figuring out how digital marketing works. You started it to help your patients. RevKey specializes in running Google Ads for therapists, helping practices like yours dominate search results and consistently fill their schedules with the right clients. 90% of RevKey's clients are mental health professionals, and they understand the unique challenges you face as a group practice owner. Let RevKey take advertising off your to-do list and start growing your practice today. Visit revkey.com/podcasts for a free Google Ads consultation. That's REVKEY.com/podcasts.